Back on cleveland.com, coverage of the second and third round of the NFL draft continues. We are deep into the third round now. Jordan Hicks just went to Philadelphia. Tyler Kroft to Cincinnati. What do you think?
Cincinnati likes tight ends, huh?
Yes, they do.
My goodness, they used a first-round pick on Tyler Eifert a couple of years ago. Now they're using one on Kroft. There were some people that I talked to around the NFL, Dan, that thought Kroft was going to be the first tight end taken, actually, in front of Max Williams. Certainly didn't turn out that way, but when you have a guy like Andy Dalton, kind of a dinker and a dunker, you got to have that guy over the middle, somebody that he can rely on, somebody that can move the chains, somebody that can make tough catches in traffic, and that one makes sense. The pick before that, Philadelphia, I don't get that at all. Jordan Hicks, another ballyhooed prospect coming out of high school. If you remember, Ohio State, very, very interested in the young man. He goes to Texas. He never lives up to the billing. For the Eagles, I don't know where he's going to play. They have Kiko Alonso, who's better than him. They have Michael Kendricks, who's better than him. So Chip Kelly is going to Chip Kelly, but that one doesn't make sense. Sorry, Chip. I can't get behind you with the visor on that one, bub.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the jury is obviously still out on Chip Kelly, and this year he has taken it to a whole nother level when it comes to the NFL and trying to turn Chip Kelly ball into something. It's fun. At least they're a team you got to pay attention to, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
I mean, that's the team you're going to watch.
Sure.
I mean, the quarterback position is weird.
Very weird. I mean, if you're Sam Bradford right now, the Eagles traded Nick Foles for you, and you're thinking, yeah, new life. I'm there with Chip Kelly. They really, really want me. I'm reunited with Pat Shurmur. He was my guy in St. Louis. And then there's all these reports about how interested the Eagles were in trading up to take his replacement. So how much do they really love him? If you're Sam Bradford, you're like, man, I thought you guys liked me.
And all the reports that you're going to go to Cleveland.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, David Johnson goes to the Cardinals, the running backs. I know the Steelers are back on the clock here in the third round, pick number 87. David Johnson out of Northern Iowa.
We knew that there was going to be a run on running backs, and this is about the spot for some of these guys. David Johnson is a guy from Northern Iowa, as you mentioned, a small school guy, 6'1", about 225 pounds, incredibly productive. That's what you're thinking about. He's not great in one area, the way that Duke Johnson brings you that wiggle and that explosiveness, but he does a lot of different things really, really well, and he's got ability on kick returns. So for him, this is about the spot where I expected him to go, and Arizona, Dan, has been looking for a big, burly back to complement shifty, quick Andre Ellington, and David Johnson fits. And we're in a spot here in round 3 going into round 4 where teams are looking for specific things, specific elements to bring to the offense or to the defense. Fit is very, very important in the NFL, just like it is in the NBA. And David Johnson fits what Arizona wants in a running back.
A name that comes up in the comments, what's going to happen with Lyle Collins?
I don't think he's going to get drafted, to be honest with you. I don't know how a team could draft him, knowing that, again, he's not part of a murder investigation because he's not a suspect.
Yeah.
But the police want to talk to him in connection to this, and it's his ex-girlfriend. So I don't know how a team could draft him without answers. I think that's what it comes down to. They want clarity. They want him to be cleared. And right now, it's a bunch of unknown. The guy's a butt kicker. You put him at left tackle, he's going to kick your butt. You put him at guard, he's going to kick your butt. He did it in the SEC for LSU, but at some point you have to draw the line.
Sammy Coates, he's going to Pittsburgh.
Well, I mean this in the nicest way. The guy's a great, great kid. All indications are that he's a great kid, unless he has a hand transplant. I just don't know how successful he's going to be. He doesn't catch the ball well enough. And I don't know if it's a concentration thing or if it's just bad hands, but for the Steelers, this is a guy who could be very, very frustrating. He's about 6'2", 212, runs fast, man. 4.4 40 brings you that speed element, but he can't catch.
Yeah, that's a problem if you're a
You
wide receiver.
think?
Daniil Hunter to the Vikings. That's a pick they got from the Lions, defensive end out of LSU. Sean Mannion goes to the Rams.
See, they were looking for a quarterback.
Yeah, and they did not take one of those Bryce Petty or Brett Hundley.
Remember when so many people were saying, hey, Bryce Petty, he might slide into that first round, the late first round. Kudos, NFL. Good job not getting sucked into that.
Yeah, it goes back. I think we talked about this yesterday. If you think Marcus Mariota is going to have trouble adjusting to the NFL.
Hello.
I mean, Mariota had to make some NFL reads. Bryce Petty is light years behind.
Right.
As far as the offense he ran in college.
So Bryce Petty got the ball out so quickly when he was at Baylor that, Dan, he wasn't pressured a lot. He wasn't. The times that he was pressured, do you know what his completion percentage was? Facing pressure, which is going to happen in the NFL, basically on every single snap. It's about how you handle chaos. Can you move from your spot, keep your eyes downfield, keep your composure, and deliver? The answer with Bryce Petty is no, because he completed 21% of his throws when pressured. Think about that. 21% of his throws when pressured. Get a new job. Whew. It's not going to work. If you see ghosts, if you can't handle pressure, it doesn't matter how big you are. It doesn't matter how accurate you are. It doesn't matter how big of an arm you have. Ask Blaine Gabbert about it. Ask Colt McCoy about it. Colt McCoy was one of the most accurate quarterbacks, one of the biggest winners in college football history. Couldn't handle pressure. And now look at him. He's a backup.
Ask Brandon Whedon.
Hello. Same thing. Big arm, right? He was shooting clay pigeons down with footballs. Remember that? There was that whole
Sports
YouTube
science.
thing. Yes. Couldn't handle pressure.
Yeah. Changes everything.
Baltimore just got a steal, by the way. Of course Baltimore just got a steal. Remember I was talking about how in the second round they need to find somebody to replace Haloti Ngata, find a defensive tackle, and I pinned Carl Davis to them in the second round.
Well, there you go.
There he is in round 3. Getting a guy with second round value in round 3, and I think the reason why they took Davis over Jarrett goes back to teams are looking for specific things. They want somebody like Davis who's going to do the dirty work. He's going to take on those blockers like Danny Shelton and like Eddie Goldman because he's tough and he's physical. He doesn't care about stats. Grady Jarrett is different. He's someone who wants to get upfield and put pressure on the quarterback and make plays in the backfield.
So now the Cowboys back on the clock. We are up to pick number 91. It'll go Cowboys, Broncos, and then the Colts. The Cowboys, of course, made the headlines today, probably the headline of what's going to come out of Thursday, picking Randy Gregory with the 60th pick. We talked about structure and all of that. What do the Cowboys need?
They don't need a lot, to be honest with you.
Again, this was a team that very well could have been in the Super Bowl last year if McCall and Green Bay had gone their way.
You're right, and they could be one of those teams that you look at and say, is this now the time for them to take their quarterback of the future? Because Brandon Whedon at 30 whatever he is nowadays is not going to be the quarterback of the future. So they take Byron Jones, they take Randy Gregory, and now maybe running back to replace DeMarco Murray. I think Duke Johnson would have made a ton of sense for the Dallas Cowboys. A lot of running backs are coming off the board, and they could go some more help in the secondary, mainly safety, since they've already addressed that cornerback spot. Those are the areas for the Cowboys that I see as a fit here.
How good will Dallas be next year?
Well, they lost.
Obviously, they lost some key pieces.
Well,
they lost some huge pieces.
Right, the centerpiece of their offense.
Yeah.
As much as Tony Romo's terrific and Des Bryant's terrific, that offense last year was built around DeMarco Murray. They bring in Darren McFadden. We'll see. We'll see how that one goes. But you're taking one of the most talented running backs off the team, and they still have that great offensive line. So they're going to open up holes, and that's what Dallas is really banking on. But they got worse this offseason, in my opinion, because they lost one of the most talented running backs and the focal point of the offense.
It's just, again, it goes back. It's so hard in the NFL to keep a team together year to year, over the course of 2 to 3 years. Again, Dallas was that team. Who knows what could have happened? And now they're kind of scrambling to see if they can get back there.
Mm-hmm. And they still have Tony Romo. They still have a top 10 quarterback, and they've got one of the most dynamic wide receivers in the game. Those kinds of things are certainly going to help.
All right, NFL draft coverage here. If you had to grade the Browns right now, let's assume they're done. We don't know. They could move into the third round. What grade would you give them?
Dan, I'd give them a solid B. And in fact, my favorite pick is Duke Johnson. The most recent pick that the Browns made. He's my favorite pick. I understand why they went with Cameron Erving in round 1. I get it. I know all of the reasons. But I still go back to the fact that last year, the strength of this team, the best area of this team, was the offensive line. And for them to add to that strength in round 1 and ignore some other spots and ignore some other players, that to me is pretty baffling. And it's not that I don't like the player. I like the player. And same thing with Danny Shelton. It's not like I don't like the player, but I just think there were other areas that they should have gone and other players that they should have gone with. So I knock them a little bit for that. Nate Orchard, I think, was a very good pick. Situational pass rusher. You could make an argument at the time that they took him, he was the best one available there. And Duke Johnson, I love. So to me, this is a B draft. It's a little bit better than solid because of the Duke Johnson pick and his ability to get you touchdowns.
Hey, B's not bad.
How about you?
That wide receiver thing bothers me.
Yeah, I understand that.
Sure. Pass on that. So I think you got better with Danny Shelton. I think you hedged your bets with Cameron Erving. I can't give it a C because I think it's better than average.
Yeah.
I think it's probably a B or a B minus.
Okay.
Just because I still think, again, I don't think you didn't add wins to your team.
Okay.
I don't think in this draft. And like you said, Duke Johnson helps you. Danny Shelton makes you better. Cameron Erving makes you better. You got better. I don't know if you added wins. So it's hard for me to just outright give it, a B plus or move into the A category.
Yeah.
But it's better than a C.
Right.
Which I think most people would look at as a bad grade. I think it deserves a decent grade because I think Ray Farmer has put together a solid draft. So what do you give solid?
Yeah.
B minus.
And if you go back to the Danny Shelton thing, even that, look, I get it. They couldn't stop the run, and they needed a specific thing from him. He's got a specific responsibility now on this defense. Yeah. But if you talk about that defensive line just for 1 second, and you think about all of the players there, they brought back John Hughes. They have Billy Wynn. They have Phil Taylor. And maybe it's only going to be for 1 year when it comes to Phil Taylor. But this year they have him. They have Desmond Bryant. They brought over Randy Starks in free agency. You got 5 guys right there already. I thought the defensive line itself was also one of the strengths of the team. And I know they did not stop the run. So that area of the team, that was not a strength. But the defensive line as a unit, to me, was. And I think they could have gotten somebody the caliber of Danny Shelton in round 2 or even in round 3. Heck, Baltimore just picked up Carl Davis here in round 3. He does the things that Danny Shelton does. Jordan Phillips from Oklahoma, he went late round 2, I believe it was. He does the same things that Danny Shelton does. Eddie Goldman went high round 2. He does the same things that Danny Shelton does. So it's maximizing the picks that you have, and I just am not 100% convinced that they did that to get an A from me.
Yeah. And again, I think people are going to hear things like that and say, "Oh, why are you hating on this draft?"
Right.
I don't think either of us are. I think generally speaking, we both like what Ray Farmer's done with this draft. It hasn't been perfect, but this is a better football team than it was on Thursday at 7:59. Again, I don't know that it's going to reflect in the win-loss column. And I think until you get that quarterback, until you figure out a way to get that quarterback,
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know if you can get an A. Eventually, they're going to have to find that guy, and it's probably going to have to be in the draft.
Yeah, that's right. By the way, I want to read this quote, and I think this is one of the most baffling things that I've ever read in my life, from Chris Mortensen on Sean Mannion. Some people have called him a poor man's Peyton Manning.
Whoa.
Let me just explain something.
First of all,
let me just say, Sean Mannion in college, folks, threw 54 interceptions. 54.
they did say poor man's Peyton Manning. Though.
Okay, yeah, I mean that's like a dude filing for bankruptcy version of Peyton Manning. Not only did he have 54 picks in college, he fumbled the ball 30 times. One of your requirements as a quarterback is to not put your team in jeopardy. It's limit mistakes as much as possible. That's 84 turnovers if they lost all of those fumbles. Poor man's Peyton Manning. My left foot more.
He's like, he's living under an overpass in Peyton Manning's neighborhood. I think that's maybe what they're getting at.
Wow.
Chaz Green to the Cowboys. Jeff Hireman to the Broncos.
Oh, nice. There you go.
That's a good, yeah. Speaking of Peyton Manning. Henry Anderson to the Colts. And Ty Montgomery to the Packers. So the Colts finally addressed that defense. So there's that. Ty Montgomery to the Packers. So they add a wide receiver. What stands out to you? Obviously, the Broncos pick of Hireman got a response from you as I was reading through those. So that seems to be the pick that stands out.
Yeah, again, I mean, you're talking about we've had a bit of a run here on tight ends in round 2 and round 3. Hireman, somebody, Doug Lesmerises raves about him. Feels like he can do all the things that Jordan Cameron was able to do for the Browns last year. I'm not 100% sure that I'm ready to go that far, but I do know that the Denver Broncos lost Julius Thomas this offseason, and I know that they have to replace that production, and they have to find somebody else that can fill that void, and somebody who can catch passes over the middle and be a reliable go-to target for Peyton Manning. Jacob Tamme also left. He's in Atlanta. They bring in Owen Daniels, but Owen Daniels is somebody, Dan, who has had a hard time staying on the field. So I just think that fit makes so much sense for the Denver Broncos, and I think the player can play. I think he was underutilized by Ohio State.
Remember what I said about guys getting Cleveland?
Yeah.
Getting the book on Cleveland? Guess what Duke Johnson just tweeted?
I love you, Dog Pound.
Dog Pound, what's up? 100, 100, 100.
Of course.
Yeah.
No
Did Ben
question.
Tate tweet something like that?
Did Ty Montgomery go in the 3rd round, did you say?
Yes, he went to, let me pull that back up. He just went to the
My
Packers.
goodness.
Matt Jones went to the Redskins. Yeah, Ty Montgomery goes to Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers could make anybody look like a 3rd-round pick.
Okay.
He
And
could make
that's
anybody
great.
look like a 1st-round pick, probably.
Green Bay's got me scratching my head. Ted Thompson, the general manager for the Packers, usually one of the best evaluators. I don't know that Ty Montgomery can play. I think he's a kick returner. I think he's a punt returner. His hands are atrocious, and his ability to run routes is just, it's not there, and he gets hurt all the time. Nope, not a fan of that pick.
Here's a tweet. Ray Farmer has made 10 picks in 10 rounds as Browns GM. 2 corners, 2 running backs, 2 offensive linemen, 2 defensive linemen, a quarterback, a linebacker. What's missing there? Wide receivers, tight ends.
Tight ends. He's drafted a lot of running backs.
He has, because he drafted he drafted
Drafted
He
West.
drafted Duke Johnson.
Right. Okay.
And then he signed Isaiah Crowell.
Ray Farmer's building a team in this era based on the era that he played back in the day. Really, I mean, think about it.
Yeah, you're right. And look, they mentioned the Seahawks. Again, nothing should surprise you that this Browns regime is doing. Because Ray Farmer could be secretive and not answer questions. And but they haven't gone against anything that they've said, really. Now, they've gone against some reports, maybe. Ray Farmer loves Marcus Mariota, and then he comes out and claims that they never made a real offer to get Mariota, things like that. But when it comes to things they've said, I think they've held true to most of it.
They have, and that can be what's frustrating to Browns fans, to be honest with you. That's what has been frustrating to me as well. But I'll say this.
Which, by the way,
what?
They keep saying Johnny Manziel's going to get a chance.
Sure, and if you
it's sure starting to look like it.
If you have him and you're going to give him a chance, or you have Josh McCown, the number one thing that the Browns have to do is limit their responsibilities. And now you have Duke Johnson who can carry the ball and he can take a 2-yard pass. Maybe Josh McCown can do that, hopefully, a 2-yard completion, and he can house it.
Browns are back in the third round.
Here we go.
They are on the clock. Number 96, they just traded up with the Patriots. So again, we talked about it a lot. 3 fourth-round picks. They're probably moving back in. The plan was probably to move back into the third round or move up in the fourth round, depending on how things shook out, to get someone they wanted. So now we got to see who that is.
Could it be a wide receiver, Dan? Could it be? Am I asking too much here?
Yeah, you're asking way too much. Could be a running back.
Another one?
So let's see what they do here. Back on the clock.
Of course, they traded with the Patriots, too. I mean, that's the best thing about it. The Patriots are fine with moving out.
This is what Ray Farmer did last year as well. He traded back into the third round. That's when he grabbed Terrence West. So let's see what the Browns are thinking here. See if they can get some value. Then we get into the supplemental picks. The Patriots, Chiefs, and Bengals. So this is really the last. You obviously can't trade those picks.
Yeah.
So this is essentially the last. This was the last tradable pick of that round, and they go Xavier Cooper, defensive tackle.
Man, I was hoping for my guy Grady Jarrett. That would have been nice because he brings you a different kind of element than Danny Shelton. You've got this guy now coming from Washington State. You've got somebody here for the Browns, 6'3", 293 pounds, a former high school basketball player. So there's some athleticism there. Started all 25 games over the last 2 seasons. So again, we're talking about experience, production, maturity, I would say. This is a guy, though, who, we talk about Danny Shelton. He's going to plug up the middle, and he's going to try and stop the run. This is a guy who is going to do a little bit more than that. He's not going to do that. He's going to try and get up the field and make some plays in the backfield. He's a penetrator.
All right, so go ahead
if they use him that way.
Yeah, go ahead and add Xavier Cooper to the Browns draft haul. We'll try and get the details of that trade here too before the night is done. As we get into the Patriots, Chiefs, and Bengals, they got to make these picks. They are their picks that they got, the compensatory picks. And we'll try and see, trying to find some details. Here we go. The Patriots, no, it's just saying they've traded their pick to the Browns. They'll pick again at 97. So we'll see what the trade is. If anybody in the comments happens to catch that, feel free to type it in there as we kind of look around for details of that trade. Probably just one of those fourth rounders. Who knows which one?
More than likely, although you never really know. Again, it's just somebody who does something different than Danny Shelton. Teams are looking for specific characteristics and specific traits and
actually
certain
it's
fits.
Looking like they gave up 3 picks.
3 picks for this guy?
Yes.
I don't know that he's worth
Folks in the
that.
comments throwing out that they gave up 3 picks, and I'm seeing that on Twitter as well. 3 picks to move up and get a defensive tackle, and Xavier Cooper.
And a defensive tackle that I think is a little bit worse than Grady Jarrett, the guy from Clemson that I really wanted. But this is a guy, like I said, who's going to get up the field. He's going to penetrate. He's going to put pressure on the quarterback.
So the Patriots get 111. They get 147. That's in the 5th round. They get 202. That's in the 6th round. And they get that for number 96, which the Browns just made, and they also give up number 219, which is in the 7th round. So the Browns gave up 3 picks. They acquired 2 picks. It's the guy they wanted. And we saw last year that Ray Farmer didn't really do a lot on Saturday.
Right. And again, you credit a general manager for identifying a particular guy that he wants and saying, you know what, I'm going to go get that guy. I'm going to be aggressive. I've got all of these different assets. And that's why he made the trade that he made with the Houston Texans to acquire the assets in order to move around the board like this. Other teams have done it so far here tonight. Identify a specific player, identify a skill set, and go get him. This guy is an athlete that's playing defensive tackle. As I said, he was a basketball player. He was also a tight end. So you know he's got that quickness and he's got that speed to get up the field.
Geno Grissom, he is the pick for New England at 97. So now we're up to the Chiefs. 2 picks left.
Almost done here.
As we've made it through the 3rd round. See, we know with Ray Farmer, the book on Ray Farmer.
Yeah.
Don't stop watching that 3rd round, because he's going to get in there and he's going to get that last pick and he's going to pick somebody.
Yes. And I want to pass this along from John Elway, who just tweeted about Jeff Hireman. All right. A very experienced tight end from Ohio State. We've picked Jeff Hireman. He brings the right mentality and was the top guy on our board at the time. Where's Ray Farmer on Twitter? Come on, Ray. Come out on Twitter.
Do you know you know why Ray Farmer's not on Twitter? Because his mentions would just be pick a wide receiver. Pick a wide receiver. Pick a wide receiver, Ray.
Come on. That's awesome information right there. He's the top guy on our board. Where's Ray revealing his board? Where's Ray talking up Xavier Cooper?
All Ray's Twitter feed would be, because he's not going to tell you anything, all Ray's Twitter feed would be updates on his son running a spread offense, even though nobody can throw the ball at that age.
Man, the Browns are getting rave reviews from a lot of people.
Again, because it's a solid draft. It's a draft you can't look at and say there's no stretches here, really.
Right.
There's nothing here that makes you, like you said, there's nothing that makes you scratch your head.
Right.
There's nothing that makes you angry, unless you were super passionate about a wide receiver.
Right.
It's a fine draft.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine.
Yes. There you go.
It's nothing. Nobody's going to run out and say Ray Farmer's a genius when they look at this draft, but you are on paper a better team.
You sound like you're trying to convince yourself.
No,
here.
I'm just saying it's not.
You do. I know you're not trying to come across that way, but you do. You sound like the dude who goes to a bar and it becomes the end of the night and you're like, oh, her over there? She was a 2 at the beginning of the night. She's a 6. She's a 6 now because there's nobody else in there for you. That's what you sound like now. But I'm right there with you. I mean, there is no home run pick here. There's no standout.
Yeah.
Look, there are some other teams that I think have made standout selections. Randy Gregory at 60. That's something that really stands out to me. That's getting a top 10 player at number 60. Leonard Williams falling all the way to the Jets at number 6. That's a standout pick. You know what I mean? That's one that really catches your attention. The Browns don't have that kind of thing, just like they don't have a huge whiff.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go with what you say. It's fine. It's solid.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I say that because I know there's going to be people on Twitter who are just singing the praises of this draft. Like Ray Farmer did everything he wanted and was brilliant. And I mean, he wasn't. He just picked what was there. He made solid picks, which is kind of what we've been asking for years and years, right? Mm-hmm. Do what the Steelers do. Do what the Ravens do. Just make solid draft picks.
Yeah.
And eventually, you're going to find that guy at quarterback. I don't know how and I don't know where. But if you're not going to be able to find that guy, make solid picks. Don't be stupid.
Right. And it's clear that they want to build in the trenches. And we talked about this last night. In the trenches, inside out. You got 2 defensive tackles. You've got a jack-of-all-trades offensive lineman. you've got a pass rusher, and you've got a running back. I mean, that's the definition of inside. Everything there is inside, except for Duke Johnson with his ability to get to the outside. And I love the Bengals pick to finish day 2. This is terrific.
Paul Dawson.
Yes. This is an awesome pick, and this is somebody that I thought the Browns were going to consider because they have a need, I think, at inside linebacker, and that would have been something other than a defensive tackle since they already grabbed one of those. But I understand why they took Cooper because he does things different than Shelton. Dawson is a guy who dropped, I think, a little bit because he ran a 4.9 40-yard dash. He's one of the slowest linebackers in the draft. I'll admit that. But look, you don't have to win a sprint to be a great linebacker. You're not running track here. This is a dude who just makes plays. That's what you want from a linebacker. Just find the football and make a play. And I don't care about the 40-yard dash. I don't care that he didn't win the combine. He wins on the field. That's a guy that I hate that the Browns are going to have to be going against for the next 5 to 10 years because he's going to be all over the field making plays left and right.
All right, so 2 days of the NFL draft in the books. Danny Shelton at 12, Cameron Irving at 19, Nate Orchard at 51, Duke Johnson at 77, Xavier Cooper at 96. Those are the 5 players that the Browns have picked. They have a day of drafting ahead of them tomorrow. Things get underway at noon. We will have complete coverage of that. No live show, but we will have complete coverage of that tomorrow at cleveland.com/Browns. Still lots for Ray Farmer to do. Not as many 4th-round picks because they moved up to get Xavier Cooper. But that's it. 3 rounds of NFL draft in the books. 2 days. Thanks to everyone who joined us yesterday, of course. Dave Pekowitz back there thought he was going to get out of here at 9 o'clock tonight. We kept him here till 11:20. So our thanks to him for pushing the buttons behind the scenes both days, scrambling to find pictures and videos of guys as their names got called. Of course, Chris Fedor with the analysis. As always, I'm Dan Labbe. Thanks for watching.